All right, it's still a beautiful Wednesday right here on Wake Up Nigeria. We're about to have a very interesting conversation centered around wellness because it's very important to make sure that you are well in your spirit, soul, and in your body. And something very important that we have to talk about today is mental health and migration, the Japa Syndrome. And doing justice to this, I have with me Obi Olama Nadi. Welcome back to Wake Up Nigeria.
Thank you.
She's literally now like a full member of the squad.
Exactly.
Literally calling people by names up and down. Oh, where is this person? Oh, where's that person? Oh, I can't see this person. Welcome back.
Thank you so much, Winfrey. I guess the ability to call people's names and ask how they're doing means I thrive mentally, emotionally, physically in this setting.
Yes,
so,
of course.
So
That's a very good one. That's a very good one.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. So now today we're talking about mental health and Japa.
Yes.
This conversation, I don't even know whether it's, I mean, I think it's definitely long overdue. And people probably don't see it that way. Don't talk about Japa, I talk about economy most of the time. Do you understand?
Exactly.
And all of that. But now we're talking about Japa and mental health. So now, first of all, let's talk about the link. What is the link between mental health and Japa?
Yeah, well, as we all know, mental health is a state of emotional well-being that determines how we think, how we feel, how we act, how we process our thoughts, how we handle relationships, and all of that. So what this means is mental health is the powerhouse, is the overall powerhouse of the human race, so to speak. So when you link, I think the major link between Japa and mental health is movement from one place to the other. Okay. Now, I mean, migration is not just about packing and leaving. I mean, movement as, let me not say little, but not as significant as moving from one country to the other. Let's say you're moving from Lagos to Jos. There's a lot of emotional stress. True. There's a lot of mental stress.
From my house to work.
Thank you, exactly. You understand? So how much more moving from one society, from the place where you were born, from where you have all your friends, family, you're used to the structure, you're used to the government, you're used to the currency and all of that, and then you're moving to an entirely different country. Now, one thing that I advise people who are Japaing, quote unquote, to do is first of all, research the country you're going to. Because, you know, for the longest time, when we hear Japa, because this is a third world country, like you said, people just relate it to economy and all of that. Nobody's looking at what's happening at the back end. Yeah,
like why I even come to that decision in the first place.
Absolutely. Don't forget, there are people who already have a history of mental health problems like depression, anxiety, and our people, quite a number of our people, are not quick to seek help. Yes, they do not engage in help-seeking behavior. So what then happens is they live with these mental health problems. They do not get help. Move forward a bit. And then they relocate, you know. They move to an entirely different country. And what happens is their state of mind falls ill beyond where it was. In fact, it depreciates.
So now let's even, before we go into that, I think that's actually a very key conversation we definitely will have. But let's even go back and talk about the state of the mind before coming to that decision. Because a lot of people will say, okay, fine, the reason you're deciding to up and leave is because you do not have the temerity, you don't have the, do you understand? You don't have the willpower to stay and literally face any challenge you have.
Exactly.
I can't remember. I'm not really putting it well, but I'm trying to get what I mean. Do you understand?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so it's like some people see it as a quitting mindset.
Absolutely.
So do you think that is the situation?
Oh, definitely. That is one key reason. Remember, there are people, I know people who relocated as a function of a traumatic experience like kidnap, banditry, like an accident, you know, due to very poor road network. So it was an instant decision. You don't migrate, you don't take these decisions on the spot. However, these decisions are taken from a trauma-informed place. And so they do not have that, they're not in that mental state where they say, okay, I'm leaving this country to an entirely different country. I need to do my research. I need to ensure that I'm going to the cities where I have more opportunities. They just up and leave. So what then happens is these mental health problems further worsens. For instance, one of the beautiful things about living in the age of information is my NGO, we offer virtual mental health counseling because a lot of Nigerians who are now more informed about mental health actually say there are people who have been in sessions for 1 year, 2 years. There's relocation. Remember, there's discrimination, there's social inequality, they're struggling to fit in. And I think it's important we also say this because children are part of this movement. So there's the point where they're saying, okay, I'm leaving all my friends behind, I'm changing school, I'm not going to see my teachers, I'm not going to see my friends, I'm not going to ride my bicycles in the neighborhood and all of that.
Let me pause you there and let's talk about the impact it actually has on children. Because I know growing up myself, because my dad was a force man, we actually
there's a lot of movement.
Yeah, there's a lot of movement here and there. And I know how, I think as much as you think, okay, fine, it's just a little thing, it's just a child, they'll outgrow it. It definitely even impacts you in adulthood. Because you realize that your ability to literally stay and connect with people long term is literally severe, even when you actually grow up. So let's talk about the impact on that.
Exactly. In fact, the impact is a whole lot. I say something to my teenage son. I say, look, you're so lucky you live in an age where parents actually know what mental health is. Because when I was younger, you just pack your things and leave. What's mental health? You just, you understand. But it is really, really hard on the children because one major challenge children face, we've already talked about migration, emotional stress, feeling homesick, things like that. We're talking about transit, the whole stress of traveling and moving from one point to the other. Remember, there are people who are migrating as refugees. There are people who are not migrating on a legal status, and they're moving with the entire family. There's a lot of risks. You know, you're going through the roads, you're going by sea, you're doing all of these things. Even when you are migrating legally, in transit, there is a lot of stress, mental stress on the kids. And then post-migration, you're trying to settle in. It's an entirely new culture, entirely different race for people who are going beyond this continent. Then one of the places that we've noticed a surge, or one of the key factors that tends to trigger mental health problems in children is adjusting to the school settings. Right? Because one, you have an accent. So they pick on you. We have somebody whose 8-year-old was systematically silenced by her teacher. You know, she picked on her, she mocked her. It was not direct, but somehow the child withdrew. And over time, depression was diagnosed, right? So one thing I'm saying to parents who are migrating with kids, their mental health is super important. Pre-migration, there must be conversations.
Don't just assume, this is a child. I mean,
they will adapt. No, exactly. There must be continuous conversations. Look, we're moving. This is the reason why we're moving, you know, to give you a better life. There are more opportunities. You can do your sports. You can do all of this. However, I'm there for you, you know, if you have any challenges and all of that. So yes, it takes its toll on children. However, research has proven that with the right support system in place, children tend to adjust quicker, right? They pick up the accents quicker, they pick up the currencies, they pick up the lifestyles. So, but the older people who are setting their ways, those of us who are setting our ways, quote and unquote, tend to struggle a whole lot because there's so much discrimination. Again, you have the communication problems. There's some migrants who have said to us, I'm speaking proper English, and these guys are saying to me, I don't understand the word of what you're saying. And you know, firsthand, you're experiencing racism, you're experiencing discrimination. This is not a thing where you're coming from. So these are super important conversations, and that must be ongoing, especially around this time when there's a lot of movement in Nigeria. Now, let's look at ways, because someone will say, okay, what are the ways people can protect their mental health or guard their mental health? I say one thing to Nigerians. When we're migrating, we say, oh, I need to take this for malaria, I need to take this pill, I need to take this for my high blood pressure. But you're not seeing a psychologist, you're not talking to a mental health counselor to prepare you mentally. Remember, your state of mind determines everything. Your physical health is linked to your mental health. We had this conversation last week. So as you are preparing all your medications and all of that, you know, as prescribed by your doctor, remember to make all the preparations for you. Exactly. You know, remember to make all the adequate preparations as well for you, your family members, if you're going with family. And no, talking to a psychologist or a mental health counselor does not mean your family is mad.
Now let me interject you there. So of course, I mean, we're talking about this just the same way you see your doctor and all that. You should definitely see your psychologist as well. However, what would you say, in your opinion, now, from your point of view as a professional? is the reason why a lot of people in this part of the world are not open to sex. Aside the obvious one of, okay, people, they are not aware and they think, okay, fine, it's likened to literally being mad, right?
Yes.
So what else would you
exactly.
say is the reason why people are not open to seeing psychologists?
Well, there's the heavy stigma, of course, associated with anything relating to mental health. Then, of course, there's this, what's the word, for lack of a better word, there's this, somehow, people just do not place any sense of relevance or importance to guarding their mental health. You know, look, my generation, I think it's this Gen Zs and Gen Alphas who are even more in tune with their mental health. My generation was raised to rough it, just go along with it. Exactly, just figure it out as you
it's
you
in a
progress.
way as a sense of as weakness, right?
Exactly. I mean, look, if I said to anybody who is migrating, okay, why don't you have some sessions with a mental health professional? No, I don't need any of that. And then when they, you know, post-migration, you know, they think they can deal with all the emotional challenges and all of that. Then in transit, you meet somebody who is calling you racial slurs. That's a heavy, the shock is so much that it actually impacts them psychologically, right? And then post-migration rather, you get to work, there's discrimination in the workplace, you're struggling with integrating into the society and all of that. Everything is entirely different, even religious form of worship. So what I would say is your mental health is as important as your physical health.
So just quickly give us tips very, very briefly, tips on how to balance and adjust.
Thank you so much, Winfrey. One, first and foremost, there must be solid social support. This is something we cannot have mental health conversations without talking about. Communities that provide social solid support at locally and, you know, at their destinations, you know, and all of that. So this is a welcoming community of Nigerians.
Quickly, what else?
And all of that. Secondly, of course, awareness, applying all the right techniques, preparing your mind ahead. Research has proven that when you are mentally prepared, it reduces the risk of mental health problems. Legal status. Yes.
All right. Amazing. Thank you so much. Very
briefly.
Winfrey. That was actually a very, very succinct conversation talking about mental health and Jackpot. Of course, things to actually help you when you actually go through this process. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
We'll definitely be continuing the conversation next week.
Yes,
you'll be back here with us again. All right, you actually heard it. So if you're jackpot or intend to or have already jackpot, make sure you actually take the necessary precautions and, of course, make use of the tips you actually just dropped to ensure that your mental health is in a perfect condition. All right. On that note, this is a wrap on this conversation on wellness, but we'll be back with so much more right here on Wake Up Nigeria. Do not go anywhere.